Hello and welcome to Ginesys release video 11.104.0. We will show you some of the major developments that have been made in this release of Ginesys. Most of the developments that have been done have been released in promotion. The first one is that the sample testing module is now available in Ginesys Web. So one more feather in the cap of Ginesys. We have moved another module to the web. Successive resolution of multiple promotions is now available in POS. More than one buy assortment can now be tagged to a buy promotion. Promotion definition of buy assortments can now be made with item quantity ratio. Let us look at the scenario for successive resolution of multiple promotions in POS on a single item. Suppose there are two promotions on the same item. Over here, a t-shirt. Promo 1 with a higher priority of 2 says, buy 2 t-shirts, get a 10% discount on MRP. Promo 2 with a lower priority says, buy 2 t-shirts and a cargo and get 25% discount on MRP. Now, on a single bill, the following items are billed. There is 4 of these t-shirts and a cargo pant. So, since promo 1 has a higher priority, it will be resolved first. 2 t-shirts will be billed at a 10% discount on MRP. Then promo 2, which has a lower priority, will be resolved. 2 t-shirts and the cargo pant will be billed at 25% discount on MRP. Now, as we said, more than one buy assortment is now supported in a buy promotion. Suppose there are two assortments, assortment 1 for kurtis and assortment 2 for dresses. A promotion can now be defined as buy any item from assortment 1 or assortment 2 or both and get 20% off on MRP. And since multiple buy assortments are now tagged onto one promotion, the promotion definition of buy assortments can be made with item quantity ratio also. Suppose there are two assortments again, assortment 1 of kurtis as we have already said and assortment 2 for dresses. A promotion can now be defined as buy any 2 items from assortment 1 and any 1 item from assortment 2 and get a 50% off on MRP for all items. That is, for this promo to be applicable, the ratio of items from the 2 assortments must be 2:1. That is, if you buy 2 items from assortment 1 and 2 items from assortment 2, then the 2 items from assortment 1 along with 1 item of assortment 2 will be billed at 50% discount, while the other item from assortment 2 will be billed at full price. Now that brings us to the end of the developments that have been made in promos. Now we're taking a look at how these are being resolved by the Ginesys web sample testing. Let us first see how we are going to define these promos. As usual, we are going to go to retail management and then sales promotion, and then we take a look at define promos. The promos have already been defined for your convenience. I'll just show you some of the promos that have been defined. Especially, we would take a look at how item ratio is provided. The tagging of more than one buy assortment in a promo can be clearly seen from this promo definition that has been done. And along with it, you can also see the item ratios that have been provided. As you can see, we have specified the buying condition with buy specific quantity with item ratio. And as you can see, the assortment 1 is a by assortment. Assortment 2 is also a by assortment, and they have a ratio factor of 2:1. Assortment 1 has 2, assortment 2 has 1. So that is how promos with item ratios are defined. You may as well want to take a look at the benefits. That is, as we said, a flat discount of 50% on the MRP. Now let's take a look at how this is resolved through the web sample testing. As you can see, the test is being done on the basis of allocation group, because we are testing multiple promotions, and the items have already been scanned and the resolve button here has already been pressed. So the promos have already been resolved and are reflecting over here. Please note that in the Ginesys Web Retail Management, promotion is a new tab, and within it there is this sample tasting. Now we take a look at how the promos have been resolved. As you can see that T1014 is our t-shirt, and there has been 4 quantities of it, along with 1 cargo pant. Now, as you can see, multiple promos have been successively resolved on this item. For the first case, you can see promo 2, that is promo 2 has been resolved with 2 t-shirts combined with 1 cargo and 5% discount, and the other 2 t-shirts have got a 10% discount. Now let's take a look at the other promos that have become applicable. As you remember, we had a promo in which there was an item ratio of 2:1. So T1017 is one item which is in assortment 1, and T1019 is another item which is in assortment 2. So over here, the 2 items from assortment 1 has combined in the ratio of 2:1 with another item from assortment 2, and promo 5 has been applied on them to get a 50% discount on the deal. And another quantity of item, the same item from assortment 1, has been combined with another item from assortment 2, wherein we had defined a promo as buy any item from assortment 1 or 2 or both and get a 20% discount. So that has been applied to. As you can see, multiple promos have been tagged to multiple assortments, and there is more flexibility with the same item having more than one promotion at the same time. So we hope the new Ginesys promotions will allow you to provide more benefits to your customers and to yourself. We move on to the other features that have been developed in version 104. The other new features in this release are the expired PO information can now be viewed while creating JRC from Wizard. Earlier, items in a PO had to be received in ad hoc if the PO had expired before a JRC could be made. However, now while making the JRC from the JRC Wizard, the expired POs can be seen by clicking a button. If needed, then the validity of the expired POs can be altered so that the set off can be done. We will show you this feature in a short while. Going back to the list of new features, we have the service order cancellation module that has newly been introduced. Earlier, service order cancellation was a bit of an hassle because cancellation could only be done from the service order module itself, and in case the specified log days were over, The operators were not allowed to cancel the order unless the log days were extended. Moreover, they had to be given modification rights to the service order. Now, alteration of log days and modification rights in the service orders compromised the integrity and security of the data. So now we have introduced a new module itself from which a service order can be cancelled, whether completely or partly. This means that your data is now safer and there will be more data integrity. Another new feature that has been released in 11.104.0 is the pause order cancellation reason option. Since it is difficult for operators to provide reasons for pause order cancellations during rush hours, a pause order cancellation reason master has been created and reflects through a LOV. Moreover, since the pause order cancellation reason is very important for analysis and reporting, it can now be made mandatory or optional based on your requirements. If you wish, you can make pause order cancellation reason mandatory. That means anytime a pause order is cancelled, the reason must be given by the operator. Another important new feature is the item rate modification can now be done while creating pause orders. Earlier, the pause order had to be created and then modified during the making of the pause bill. But now, if the price modification is allowed in the item master and allow price override policy is yes, then item rates can now be modified while creating the pause orders itself. Now let us take a look at how we can see the expired PO information in the GRC wizard. As you can see, we are now in the procurement goods received challan wizard and we have provided certain details of the supplier and we say next. We have selected two items over here, T1000 and Z1000 are the barcodes, and then we say next again. Now over here, as you can see, these items have been marked as pending in expired POs, and this button view expired PO details is enabled. Now clicking on view expired PO details opens the expired PO details window in which we can see the items and we can also see the PO details of the expired PO. You can see the validity dates to and from, and if needed you can alter this to do the necessary set off. You can also export the details to a CSV for further processing. We now move on to some of the other changes that have been brought in the procurement, namely the cancel service order. As you can see over here, you have been provided multiple filters for filtering down to the exact service order that you wish to cancel. You can see that there is order date range, validity date range, cancelled date range, order number range. You can also see the list of services, the site for which that service was applicable, the supplier who was supplying that service, who created that service order and who cancelled it. All of these details you can get over here. Okay, now let's see, we select packaging and we say search. So we find two service orders related to this service and you can cancel any of these service orders. Moving on, now we move once again to the retail web management for taking a look at the pause order cancellation reason. As you can see, we are now in the web retail management. In the setup tab you have configure, and under configure you have the reason master. On clicking on it, a list of reason opens up on the right hand side and you can add any new reason you want. Let us add one for pause order cancellation. Now from this LOV for type, you can choose your type of action and then just say save and close. The record is saved successfully, and over here you have your reason. This will make it easier for your operators at the POS to deal with their customers better. For item price modification to be applicable, you must make sure that the price of the item can be modified in your item master, and then you need to come to master policy over here in the same setup tab of the web brittle management, and make sure that the allow price override is marked yes. Then only will you be able to change the price of the item during the making of the POS order. Moving on to the improvements that have been included in this version. A lot of improvements have been included in the existing features in the version 104, like the receive date of all transactions made to any store across the cities, and the dates on which the returns have been made from these stores will now be reflected in the transfer ins and the transfer outs. Petty cash head and petty cash amount will now become modifiable along with the reference details and remarks. Now, petty cash head wise summary will also be available along with transaction wise summary in the daily summary report. Sub-ledger details will now be reflected in the cost center register report. Earlier, this detail was not reflected in it. Now we also have an option of applying filters to it. So you can choose which of the sub-ledgers you want reflected in the cost center register report. Authorization date and time will now be reflected in the following documents: purchase order, purchase service order, sales order, transfer order. Tax name wise summary can now be printed in the goods return report. Tagging due date will now be mandatory while taking POS orders. You can execute this feature through the user profile settings. Details of customer coupons and redemption will now be printed in the capillary integrated POS. Destination site selection option has been provided to many documents, namely sales and distribution, order analysis, pending order status, S&D order delivery status, S&D delivery challan register, S&D transfer out register, transfer in register, S&D outright sales invoice register, S&D outright sales return register, S&D post sales register, and secondary sales register. And along with that, in S&D you can now have pending sales form and sales distribution margin analysis. The last scan information, which earlier reflected only the item name, will now show barcode, item ID, MRP and RSP in the POS back office transactions modules, packets, stock point transfer, cycle count, POS order, and in the POS back office store control barcode printing. That basically brings us to the end of this release video. Hope you find it useful. Thank you.